Guys, it's been a while since I've reacted to the triplets. If you don't know me, my name is Max. I look at all different types of people's communication skills and I give you my thoughts. I'm going to be checking out this video right now with their mom. This should be interesting, a little bit of a different dynamic here. This must be exciting for her too, seeing her boys blow up like this. So I know this video was a year ago, but let's get right into it.
As you can see, or as you know, we have a mother, and she gave birth to us, so therefore, she's a mother of triplets. And a lot of people have questions for triplets. So that leads us to believe people have questions for the triplets' mother.
Absolutely.
Fair. So today we're going to be asking the mother of triplets, our mom, questions about being the mother of triplets.
Wow.
Nick, man. Right, again, we've talked about his leadership. I think this is sort of an underrated skill of his. Look how he was addressing the camera when he was breaking down the situation there about his mom. No, it was great. It was great. I think he's a great presenter, right? He's the guy out of all the triplets that I've seen that's like super aware of making it a point to engage the audience directly. And when we feel like someone's engaged with us and talking to us directly, we're much more likely to listen and to feel connected to them.
I found out really pretty early, so I didn't really have to think about girl names after that.
Yeah. So you're just like...
I went straight to the boy names. So all I knew was I always liked the name Nicholas for some reason.
Why'd you spell it wrong?
That's Dad.
No H?
No H. I like the H. He didn't want.
She's so sweet, isn't she? She's so sweet. To me, videos like this only humanize them more. I think that's something to think about when I coach people doing presentations. I say, hey, if there's a point where you can incorporate a story about a family member, about your mother, about your father, about your sister, it only allows people to feel more connected to you because people can relate to that. So I think videos like this really add to their relatability. They humanize them. This is brilliant. Never use that word. I don't know why I did.
And then we basically let Justin decide.
Wow. So Justin and Chris, wow.
And Dad and
So
Justin
original.
kind of just like bounced names around. It was like Matt.
When they came up with Matt, did they have to like go to you to be like did you have to like
are you
finalize?
okay with Matt?
Oh yeah, it was like Matthew was nice. I called Matthew.
What were like two other names?
This is great, and it feels like Nick's really making sure she's doing okay on camera. You can see that he wants her to do well. Like he's looking after her. You can tell. He's really helping facilitate the conversation. He wants to make sure it goes smoothly. But the boys are all being just super respectful. It's really sweet seeing them in this environment, just listening to their mom.
Your life experiences lead to like what you could possibly name your kids. Because like
That's
your dream kid name at like my, Matt, and Chris's age could be something that like we really want to name our kids, and then like we might meet a person with that name and like just completely or like when someone's like a Karen, like when someone's just like basically like a B word, like if someone's like really
wow, all right, they're holding out with the cussing in front of their mom here.
Like when someone's just like basically like a B word, like
all right, a sign of respect, because you know these boys aren't afraid to drop an F-bomb here and there. So maybe they're toning it down in front of their mother. Very respectful. Nick over here, my boy, hosting a podcast in the back seat of the car, right? Like this is what a good interviewer would do.
So when you came out, I said, please tell me what baby you're taking out.
Oh, it's like when you got an ultrasound. So technically, when you got an ultrasound, they're like, "Oh, this is baby A, B, and C." Technically, like you had us named like from the ultrasound, like A, B, and C. This is where they are, and then So technically,
see, this is another good interview skill right here. Nick understands, like, hey, we may need just a little bit more info just in case the audience didn't understand what we meant the first time.
So technically, when you got an ultrasound, they're like, "Oh, this is baby A, B, and C."
You know, when we ask for more clarity, whether it's through more questions or paraphrasing, what's happening is we're demonstrating our interest and our curiosity in our guest, but we're also helping our audience out by better understanding what it is that the guest is saying.
How do you know who was who? Did you just know off rip?
How do I know who was who when what?
When, like,
How do you know? It's kind of a broad question, but I'm thinking like, I think they mean when.
You know what I like too? How they talk normally in front of their mom. Like they're not trying to use her language. They're just like, off rip, how did you know?
Did you just know off rip?
She's never said off rip once in her life. But that's kind of what's fun too. They're just sort of continuing to be their authentic selves and using the language they use despite their mom being around. Like, it's just funny. It's just funny to me.
Nick had dark hair when he was born, keep in mind. So I knew.
Oh yeah, because me and Matt were like blonde. But Nick was blonde.
Another question I'm gonna ask that goes with it, so that like you can answer them at the same time again, is like, how'd you know who was who when we were little? And then another part, someone asked like what age were we when you were like, okay, I'm never getting it wrong again, like Nick, Matt, and Chris.
Yeah, see, these are good questions. Nick clarifying the question a little bit more, because it could be a little vague.
Like, what age were we when you were like, okay, I'm never getting it wrong again? Like,
so Nick really kind of getting specific with his question asking here. And I'm loving the boys' interview skills here. I really am. And I'm still, like, I'm watching the dynamic between Chris and Matt. Matt's still looking over and gazing at Chris whenever he has an opportunity, still looking for that connection. And I hold strongly to my original point that Matt loves Chris. He absolutely loves him.
Now,
Not even half.
now I get Nick and Matt confused.
Yeah, but you
They're
just do that
starting
when
to
you
look
think
alike.
fast. You know Nick's
yeah, like
Nick,
you also call like Justin, Trevor, and like Dad.
Right.
Like,
When you guys were babies and you were like little teeny babies.
So you look at those little moments where Matt's like looking at Chris to laugh. He laughs. He looks at Chris like Matt likes that connection. And I mentioned last video, you know, Matt really thrives, I feel like, when things are a little bit more calm and nice and peaceful amongst the boys. Like when the boys are peaceful and the boys are being nice to each other, I think that's when Matt sort of really shines and thrives, and that's where his leadership really comes out. I think Chris probably admires that in Matt, maybe subconsciously, but Matt has that ability to naturally connect. He's good at it. He looks for it.
I was like really little in Target, and they had to like call him.
Stores,
Do you remember
yeah.
that? The intercom?
Yes,
I couldn't imagine
do
bringing,
remember
like-
you guys getting lost,
God.
like in the stores under the clothes, like for a second, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, where are you?"
And we just
then
pop
you'd be
out.
there. But no, I have kept really close tabs on you.
Yeah,
I've
none of us
never
really ever-
lost-
Chris is almost like talking to his mom like a friend. He sort of seems like he's kind of friends with his mom. And Nick's like a co-parent with his mom. Like just the way they're engaging. Like Matt's kind of like appreciating his mom and listening in. He finds the whole thing endearing, you know. Nick's like, you know, talking to her like, okay, let's find out more. It's almost like he's like right on the same level as her.
Did you ever notice people double taking when they saw the triplets in public?
Always.
Good question.
It's like we'd be like,
They still do.
yeah.
Everywhere we go, they'd be like, they'd look and they'd go, are you guys the same age, or are you twins? No, we're triplets. Oh, and people have always done double takes.
Yeah,
so funny.
because I remember me.
That's so cool. That's so cool. These are great questions, aren't they? I'm loving this video. And look how Nick's like kind of completely turned to his mom here, right? Look at his body language. He's just doing everything he can to kind of make her feel comfortable. You could tell he's interested, like just completely shifted his body toward her, wants her to feel comfortable. I think that's the takeaway. You can tell like he really wants his mom to feel comfortable. Whereas like Chris and Matt are just kind of being Chris and Matt. Like Matt's being a little bit more quiet. Chris is just kind of being Chris, but they're all really being super respectful. But it's funny in this, like I'm seeing Matt like really looking over at Chris almost every 10, 20 seconds just to sort of gauge his reaction and to see if there's like an opportunity to connect with him there.
There was like 3 Sturniolos on the ice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
People on the other team would be like, "Hey, how come that kid gets to play the whole game?" But it wasn't always one kid.
Yeah,
It was like 3 of you.
That must have been so confusing for like the refs. Like if like I actually vividly remember getting a penalty called on me
Because of Matt.
Because of Matt.
Oh my God, he'd be
That's
the
so
worst.
Like they
funny.
put me in the penalty box
never
and
said
like
that.
like
Chris, there's a second of an opportunity to get on Matt. He gets on Matt.
Because of Matt.
Because of Matt.
Oh my God, he'd be the worst.
Like they put me in the.
Like it's so instinctual for some of them to just rip on each other, you know? Like Chris especially. Like Chris has that instinct. If there's just a second of opportunity to throw a shot at one of his brothers, he's taking on that opportunity. Loves it. Loves it.
Oh my god, Matt does that to this day.
Blonde.
When me and Matt like go out together, like just me and him, I remember vividly this lady was like, "Oh, are you guys twins?" Matt goes, "Not triplets." She's like, "Oh, where's the third one?" Because they always ask where the third one is.
Right.
And Matt goes, "Oh, he's dead," and we just kept walking.
That's not.
I told him
It was
after
so
the
funny.
joke.
That's right.
But I also even like people.
They've got good values and morals that have been instilled from their parents. You can tell, like, the mom has her moral compass on track. Obviously, that's like a small example.
And Matt goes, "Oh, he's dead," and we just kept walking.
That's not.
Obviously, a lot of us know that's not nice, but although these guys are shit disturbers and they like having fun, they're young. That's part of it. They enjoy it. But at the end of the day, you know that they have good values, and it seems like the mom is definitely in part responsible for that. And you can tell these guys are good kids. You can tell they're good guys. You can see it from a lot of the videos, just the way at the end of the day they show their love to each other. And even during Nick's coming out story, that's when you really saw it, right? The respect that they had for each other, the vulnerability. You can tell they're good dudes.
Yeah, I mean, when you guys were really little, when Justin would like go out with us and hang out, you know, before he was too cool for us. I mean, people were like, "Wow, this lady's got a lot of kids with her."
Yeah.
I would have you guys, Justin,
Especially
friends.
if we brought a friend somewhere and then like Justin brought a
Yeah.
friend, it was like
a party.
immediately 7 kids. Like immediately.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, like Nick can really take control of the conversation. He's sort of the one in charge of facilitating and asking questions and making the conversation more engaging by asking good questions and having his own interesting input. And he can tell a story that's simple and easy to understand for everyone that's listening. He also knows when not to speak, you know, especially now his mom's talking. He knows when to contribute, and he also knows when to kind of sit back and listen and be respectful and show his interest. I think that's actually where his skills really lie as a communicator. It's not just him one way performing, although the dude can put on a show. It's in the 2-way, it's in the 3-way, it's in the 4-way. It's facilitating that conversation really naturally and comfortably. Nick's gonna go far in whatever he chooses to do based on the fact that it seems like he's got a lot of emotional intelligence and charisma. Shout out my boy Nick. You're killing it.
I think miserable Matt makes you laugh the least.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt hasn't been making me laugh lately.
Damn.
Yeah, real serious.
Nick's a funny guy.
Real serious.
Nick makes me laugh.
I laugh at Nick like every day.
Nick makes me laugh.
I pride myself in thinking I'm the funniest, so it's like...
Yeah, Nick makes me laugh.
That's true.
I think Chris has a lot of admiration for Nick.
Nick's a funny guy.
Real serious.
Nick makes me laugh.
I laugh at Nick like every day.
I think it's a little different. I don't think Chris looks to Nick to connect in the same way as Matt instinctually looks to connect with Chris. You don't see Chris having that same sort of affection with Matt because I think him and Matt have that more kind of unspoken bond. So it doesn't need to be vocalized as much. But you hear Chris from time to time say something positive about Nick. Although he talks shit to Nick too, there's no question. He'll say nice things. And he loves the shit out of Matt too, but he's less likely to compliment him and vocalize that compliment. That's what it seems like.
They call that nervous laughter. Because you're like,
Where are they?
Are you okay? Oh, wow, you just fell down. You look really foolish.
All right, there's like 2 more questions.
The wholesome
that's
video.
all. Give me more.
We can come up with more. Nick, give it to me.
Yeah, she's loving it, huh? She's absolutely loving it. She seems like a really good person. You know, she seems like someone who wouldn't take shit either. Like, if these boys are acting up in a way that she feels is wrong, she's gonna say something. Like, that's the vibe that I'm getting from this mom. And that's probably why they're way more calm in this video. I think she probably instills a sense of peace and goodness within them. Like, all right, like mom's here. We know at the end of the day, mom knows right from wrong. So we're gonna abide by mom's rules, whether it's conscious or not.
that your kids did for you.
Oh, there. You know what?
You can include Justin, but like it's a triplet-based video. But
I have to say, remember I said this to you guys the other night that you've always been pretty thoughtful. Remember when we were leaving the Brown school?
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew I was gonna say that. I knew that. I wish we like recorded our prediction.
That's what's part of the fun, right? Just seeing that genuine joy they have over little connections like that. That's such like a small minor thing that they both thought of the Brown school at the same time.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew I was gonna say that.
They enjoy, they get excitement when they're on the same wavelength. It's like little things like that. Like when they think alike, when they're on the same page, they both immediately recognize it and give each other props for it.
Look at us.
And then at the end, at your moving on ceremony, you kind of like surprised me.
Yep.
That was
It was
really
raining
nice.
that day. We didn't give context that our mom worked at the school that we went to for like 6 years.
Well,
So it wasn't
I
like
volunteered.
Nick's the guy who not only is he himself, but he's also aware of the communication between what everyone's saying and the audience. I think it works because of that. Like you have a guy like Nick who kind of brings it back to the audience to clarify what's happening.
we didn't give context that our mom worked at the school that we went to for like 6 years.
Well,
So it wasn't
To add detail to the stories, adding clarity, connects personally with the audience. Like he's kind of there for us in a way. Like Nick's there for the audience. And then you've got Matt and Chris who are just fucking being themselves, which is also equally important because that's also what we're drawn to, is that authentic, real vibe. That's what we want to see. And that's how we really feel connected with these guys, is because of that authenticity. And you get it from Nick too, but Nick at the back of his head has that awareness. So you get all three of these guys, I think they're just a perfect team to kill it when it comes to us being interested in their content.
you were there for the entire time we were at the school, so it wasn't like a random like, oh, let's get these triplets moms a gift for like the moving on ceremony. It was
All of our friends in
everyone
middle
who
school
went
knew
to
my
the
mom.
school, even people who weren't like our friend, knew of our mom because she worked at the school. Which is part of the reason we were so cool, because our mom was constantly there, so it was like,
You could tell the mom appreciates the shit out of this, right? Because like most guys would say like, it was kind of embarrassing having my mom around at school. But these guys are saying the opposite. Nick's saying the opposite. It was kind of cool having my mom around. You could see the mom, just her reaction. I'm sure that makes her so happy to hear, you know? That's got to be such a blessing, knowing that your kids want to have you around when they're teenagers. Like that's just a cool thing that's probably not very common.
100% they were Raisinets. A bunch of people
Raisinets, 100%.
Raisinets.
Mom
You
was
guys have
berserk
done
for
other-
Raisinets.
Now, you're putting me on the spot because there's been so many other things. My recent
Just too many-
birthday
too many, you
present,
just can't name them
when
all.
you brought me bubbles. 'Cause
Oh, that's
I
on
love
TikTok.
Bubbles.
Oh yeah,
That's
we
on
posted
TikTok.
that.
I love bubbles, and you got me bubbles. And then,
Yeah, it's funny because you guys are going to kill me. You guys are going to kill me for saying this, but Matt's priority, it feels like, is to connect with Chris. That's where he gets that sort of love. That's where he gets those good feelings. That's what makes him feel good, right? Whereas Nick's like really like honed in on his mom, making this video entertaining and engaging and clear. Chris is kind of in his own thing, you know, doing whatever Chris wants. I think that's a good way to describe Chris. I think Chris is very independent. If he wants to make a joke, he wants to make a joke. Chris is being super respectful and everything, but he's having fun with everyone here, you know? I think Chris is spreading out the love equally in this video.
I'm gonna say follow
I
my
can
mom's
hardly
Instagram,
use
but
my phone. I don't.
alright,
no.
she doesn't want to. Alright, if you want a part 2, comment it.
I'm
and
old-fashioned.
We'll do it. We'll bring Mary Lou back. Bam.
Yay! Bring me back.
Of course, let's go.
Oh, good night. Bye, boys. Love you.
Love you more. I gotta drive you home still. No,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
say
You hear Nick? Love you more.
Boys, love you.
love you more. I gotta drive you home.
So Nick and his mom had that really close bond, huh? And it sounds like, you know, Chris and Matt obviously had a really strong connection growing up, so maybe that makes sense. Nick gravitated toward his mom a little bit more. But what a wholesome video this was, huh? Nick closing out the video beautifully here, knowing when it's time to start, knowing when it's time to finish, just being aware of all these aspects. I'll say it again. If Nick wasn't there nothing would get done. So guys, right now, I'm actually gonna check out another quick video that they just posted called Try Not to Laugh, Valentine's Day Pickup Lines. So if you wanna watch that, plus my uncut reaction and analysis to their video with their mom, you can go straight to my Patreon page. I've included the link in my description below. Other than that, my name is Max. I will catch you soon. Peace.